Okay, then welcome to a new version of the Kappa's Catch-Up. A little bit different layout this time in episode 3, and we're joined once again with a very special guest down here at the Rovers, our assistant coach and the Ireland head coach, Jed Corcoran. Jed, welcome to Kappa's Catch-Up.
Thanks for having me, Jaffa.
No worries, mate. So today it's a little bit different. The idea behind the Kappa's Catch-Up is to sort of give the fans a bit of a behind-the-scenes look at Featherstone Rovers and the things that we do down here. Today, though, we're talking about Ireland Rugby League. And, of course, you as head coaches of Ireland Rugby League. We're going to be, obviously, we've announced that there's a game coming down here to the Millennium Stadium. Do you want to tell us a bit about Ireland and Ireland Rugby League and the history behind Ireland Rugby League, first of all? Yeah,
it's a sport in Ireland that is third or fourth, choice or thought of. Great game, as we're all aware of, what it gives you opportunities-wise. One thing that we produce as a national team and as a country is athletes. The sport, the number one and number two sport in terms of GA, hurling and football. The promise of them pitches, the dynamics of the pitches is you naturally produce athletes. True sportsmen, true sportswomen, and that's in the blood. It's in the DNA. So. Rugby is an evolving game there, again behind rugby union, but one that's slowly and surely taking off with more backing from people around the world.
And of course, you're head coach of Ireland. When Cookie gave you that call to come down to Fev at the beginning of this year, for us, as a fan of Fev and our supporters here, to hear that the Irish head coach is going to be here in that support network for Cookie. That must have been good for you as well, getting that call from Cookie.
Yeah. The relationship that me and Paul's got is like no other. Not many friendships in the game that with other people that I have with Paul. And ironically, where I was at my previous club, we stayed in touch. Obviously, he left and came to Fev to work with James and stayed in regular contact with him. So when I got the call off Paddy, I say, it was Paddy that rang me to come down on a joint venture with Paul. It was one that I couldn't turn down. And, previously speaking to before coming on this is, the expectation from a club as prestigious as Featherstone, there's an element of pressure already before you take it to field, or, there's an expectation from the supporters, from sponsors, from everyone within a working man's town of success, because it has had success. They've tasted it, they've had it. And it's like a drug, they want more and more and more of it. So that's what enticed me to come to Featherstone, as well as my close friendship and trust with Paul, but also the calibre of the squad. That was exciting. I could see the real true merit of what was put together, but also that, that was one of the main factors in me coming to Featherstone and accepting the challenge of, going where and what we've done to date. So, yeah.
I think a couple of your backroom Ireland staff work down here as well, which that must be good to work with them in a club environment as well as the Irish setup.
Yeah, apart from seeing them all the time, no, they're great. I only do what I do with Ireland because of my staff and because of the board. And ironically, it's a running joke with some of the boys at the club. It's like the Irish setup here. But look, they're good people. They're trustworthy. They're honest. They're hardworking. They share the dream and they share the goal of developing players. And Dave Merrick, Jacob, Charlie jumps in and out, Kieran the kit man. They're all good people. They're all committed to the cause. They believe in what we believe in and what we're trying to achieve. And they jump on board and surrender themselves for the cause. So can't ask for any more than that. Yeah.
And talking about that sort of commitment to the cause, what you've played for Ireland, what does it mean to play for your home country?
It means more to me, Jaffa, because I'm Irish, but I know I sound like an Englishman, but it's a running joke amongst a few people. They call me a plastic paddy, and they call me other phrases and terminology which don't affect me. But I'm Irish born and bred. I moved to England when I was 5 with my family, and again I had no choice in that. I just followed my mum and dad. But it hits home differently for me because it's my home country. It's in my blood. I was brought up as a traditional Irish family in a foreign country. We kept our true morals of what we are about being Irish, and it means, with the exception of my kids, it means the world to me. Exception of my wife and my kids, it means the world to me to not only play for your country, but to represent your country as a head coach, it's a massive honour, you know. And again, when I talk about expectation, there's a huge expectation on me to do my job properly and do my role properly in terms of developing them players. So it's a dream come true, you know, one that I don't take for granted. You know, there's a lot of people out there that would love the same opportunity, but I can honestly say I wouldn't share the same philosophy as me, because we've been homegrown and, you know, working and doing what I do for my home country. It's an honour. So one that I truly, you know, puts a smile on my face every day, and I enjoy every minute of what I do with it.
And talking of those homegrown players, obviously before our last home game of the season down here against Oldham, we had a team full of homegrown Irish players come across and play down here against the Foundation Futures squad. That must be great to see, that type of development and those guys getting that opportunity. Yeah,
massive, you know, massive. Are we overachieving? Probably, yes. You know, for where we are as a small nation. But as a small nation, very overachieving. Our programme has been hugely successful in the last 3 years. You know, our youth programme has beat England twice. You know, there's no other age group that beat England.
Good.
You know, so to get a full homegrown grassroots team, I don't like using the word domestic, but that's the terminology that's in place. But to get a home, you know, grown team of 20 plus players from different parts of counties and provinces of Ireland, and to come together and put their green jersey on and represent, you know, what we're going about is huge. It's a huge success for us. You know, it's a massive dream come true for them players.
Yeah.
And which one that will benefit in the next 10 years and 20 years of the programme. So, you know, whether that be 16s, 18s, students, A's, you know, seniors, masters, you know, it's a pathway to give people opportunities to represent the country.
And those guys came down here. I remember when I was up there watching the game, and it to be here at Featherstone playing on this field meant so much to them, and them knowing that they're playing in front of the head coach of Ireland must be great for them.
Yeah, you know, and one that we all have an open relationship. I know every player from top to bottom, from the programme, from 16s, you know, right through to the top, to the senior men's, to our women's, to our wheelchair. I speak to Phil regular. So I know all the players in the programme. You know, I deal with them session by session, but to see the smiles on their faces, and not just have the players be very thankful for the opportunity, but the parents, you know, to give their children an opportunity to represent, you know, in such a you know, prestigious ground, you know, it's got a legacy within its own right, and every one of them players did their homework on it.
You could tell.
And, you know, they spoke very well about it. You know, they all jumped into the shop and bought the jerseys, and they had more Featherstone kit on than they had Ireland kit. But although they wouldn't trade their Ireland kit for a Featherstone jersey, not just yet, until they get a professional contract. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great for this town to showcase some of the upcoming talent. It's also important that you give them young players a taste of what's to come, you know, to showcase our professional game. Then afterwards, you know, them players could be there in 4 to 10 years. You know, they're 4 to 10 years away from making that step up. So that's exciting itself. It also gives us as coaches an opportunity to look at the next upcoming bit of talent that we've got, you know. So, and that's what development's all about, isn't it?
Yeah,
so,
it certainly is.
Yeah.
When you were that age, what was the best advice that you got from I don't know, someone you may look up to in the game or something like that?
Two of my closest, you know, Barry McDermott and Terry O'Connor have always been very good to me within my career. But my biggest role model was my dad. You know, the ethics he had about himself as an ex-serviceman, to his country, as an army, as a soldier. You know, some of the biggest advice, you know, some of the words of wisdom, as you put it, or, you know, never step off your own doorstep.
Yeah.
And never really got that until I got into spot of bother, and then it hit me in the right hand of the jaw. Like I got a right hand overhand, you know. So, and then I truly understood what it meant by that. And then obviously there's other things you pick up from other people, you know, ethics of the game. Good players don't always make great players, you know. Good people make great players, because you can make a great bloke into a great player. You can't make a great player into a good bloke.
Yeah.
You know, so that, you know, you get loads of, you know, my biggest one is just stay grounded, stay focused, stay honest.
And do you know what? I think that's a big trait of the Irish. I've got some friends who are Irish, and they're exactly the same. That's exactly right. They know where they come from, they know the roots, and they know how to be good people. And I think that's a big thing.
Stay true to yourself. And you're right, mate. You know, we travel globally. We're all over the world. You know, our bloodlines, all over. It's global. So, and one thing about the Irish is we travel well. We travel in numbers. We support well. We support our own. You know, and everyone's proud of their own roots. You know, like you said, we stay close to our roots, keep close people close to us, and you know that's what is unique about being an Irishman.
And on the Ireland Rugby League social media, I saw you had a chat with the players after the game. What's kind of your words of wisdom to them now? You taking on board what other people's told you in your career. Yeah. What's your words of wisdom to them, or a young Irish lad, or female watching this? What's your words to them?
Yeah, there was a lot said off camera, to be fair, which we didn't want to wear because that's for us internally. Yeah. But you know, one of the biggest things that was aired is that, you know, stay grounded, stay focused, stay hungry. But I'm immensely proud of them players, and as I am all the players, male and female. You know, one thing that we're up against is the odds of our players starting later in the game.
Yeah.
So to showcase the ability and the talent that they did against lads at under 16s, and they've only, some of our players have only been playing 2 years or 12 months or 3 years, you know, or even within the last 6 months. You know, there's a higher stake of players that picked up the game in the last 6 months. But to showcase what they did on the day and still repeat that over and over again, I'm really proud of them. You know, we as an organisation, from the board to all the staff, immensely proud of them. So just stay grounded, stay focused. There's opportunities there, and as I said to the players, we want to develop players. We need to develop players. You know, my role within itself is to develop future stars and future prospects of our country, but also do the game justice and develop them for the sport, so we keep the sport hungry and thriving.
Yeah, I've got to admit, again, going back to that game, there were a great try down this right edge on the near side here. Went ball through hands and back on the inside. Proper team try. Really good to see.
Athletic, you know, they're athletic specimens. You know, they're aerobic, anaerobic, and you know, the skill factor. They've got it from the GN hurling, but the level of union that they play back home is immense. You know, it's a very, very high standard. The college, you know, the school rugby that they play. But one thing is they're very competitive.
Yeah.
You know, they came here with a competitive edge and wanted to prove a point, which, you know, you can't really coach or buy.
No.
That comes from within. So, no, I'm excited about what the future is, and I want to thank the club massively for giving us that opportunity to showcase that ability and you know, getting eyes on them players that we can keep an eye over for the next 12, 18 months.
So, on to your Irish first team squad, shall we say. What goes on behind the scenes? That's what Capper's Catchup's all about, a little bit behind the scenes. What goes on behind the scenes for you to choose those players who's going to represent Ireland? Yeah. And some of the players that you've chosen in the past, Joe Keys, you can name a few, can't you?
Yeah.
Bentley. What goes into how do you know you can choose those type of players?
Trust, will and want to represent your country. You know, again, when I got appointed, I think it was 3 years this year before the World Cup, is I challenged that group, and I challenged the group before them, is I'll deem you and judge you as being Irish if you keep turning up. You know, we're not just a nation that takes part in World Cups. We're a nation that takes part in between World Cups, home nations games, you know, qualification games. And that's where you'd be judged, and that's where you'd be deemed as are you a countryman or not. And unfortunate enough, you know, one of the biggest aspects in it is I've got a group of players that want to play for the country.
Yeah.
That, you know, that would die for the jersey to put it on over the red. What instills that, Joffrey, is constant relationship. You know, consistent relationships, constant phone calls, constant meetups, constant, you know, strong building trust in a relationship where the players know that I'm doing my best for them. You know, we had a bit of a dry spot there after the World Cup because we got a bit disillusioned between losing our affiliate membership, which is no means by anything to do with the international game. It's our grassroots game.
Yeah.
You know, participation, numbers, direction. You know, what we're doing on and off the field there in terms of development. You know, but yeah, look, I speak to all my players regularly. You know, weekly. It's not just an end of year program. You know, it's a week to week, day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. You know, my phone never stops. It's, you know, constantly checking in on the players, week to week, round to round. How did you pull up? Managing that. They're getting their injury management right at the club, but we're also keeping tabs of that in-house. So when it comes to the end of the year of selection and where the squad's round on the long haul draft and the short haul, is that we're picking the best players, not only that want to represent, but are fit to represent and do the justice, and putting that green jersey on. So, yeah, just, regular discussions. I speak to George King sometimes more than I speak to my wife. And the only person that beats that is I speak to Paul Cook more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I speak to George King once, twice a week, speak to Keys regular, speak to Ronan Michael, who I call my son. I've helped Ronan a big part of his career in his development, especially going to York. But again, Ronan Michael is another name or, another affiliation of what 1,000 players we've got coming through the programme,
Another one of them names had their debut for Bradford on Sunday.
Yeah, Jamie Gill. Another success story there in itself. Some people portray it in different lights. He's a heritage player. He's not a homegrown player, but, Jamie's come through our programme, so I class him as a homegrown player because he started at 16s, he's played 18s and 19s, played students, he's played A's, and now, he's made a senior debut in professional game, but made a senior test game last year against Netherlands. So, it's a huge accolade for him. He's another chapter in the success of our sport and also in the professional game. So, yeah, look, the future's bright and it's exciting where we're going and what we're doing.
On to the future then. How does a country like Ireland compete with the Australias, the New Zealands, the Fijians? How are you going to take your team to that level?
Firstly, is getting our full affiliate membership back.
Yeah.
We need to tidy a few areas up in the amateur game back home. The grassroots game. Get these 16s boys that came here 2 weeks ago and get them affiliated with a club. Get them clubs developing their own players at 16s, 14s, 13s, both males and females. So we get both production lines running consistently, and then once we get our full affiliate membership out, then we can concentrate on getting the right shot at your Australians, your New Zealands, your Englands, your Tier 1 nations.
Yeah.
We're a Tier 3 nation that we're still way off where they're at in terms of rulings. England pick from the professional game.
Yeah.
We have to pick from our amateur game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of discrepancies in that. But look, any player that is good enough will be given opportunity. Any player that's committed enough will be given opportunity. So what I will say is the strength in numbers. We had 23 players last year. We played Netherlands in 2 cap games. We played Netherlands and Scotland. And out of both senior cap games, we had 23 players at the test debut. 21 of them have come through our programme in the last 2 years.
Wow.
So that's a massive
success
focus.
story.
And,
yeah.
A lot of that gets overlooked. We don't go around singing around the top of the houses, on the top of the chimney tops. We keep it in-house, but we're very proud of what we do and how we do it. And the players buy into it, and, the players are leading by their actions. And the future's very bright for Rugby League Ireland. We just need more people of the right characters and right traits to support us. We've got some real strong connections both here in Ireland in terms of commercial sponsors, partners, affiliate supports, but we need more people to jump on. We need the clubs to do their jobs. We need to, in terms of development, coaching, help nurture them players. And then, look, I'm as excited as anyone now and also in 10 years and ahead of where we're at as a sport.
We spoke on Kappa's Catchup with Cookie and some fans over the last month or so about the future of the game and how that looks. I want to just spin a different angle on that for this question today, because we're talking obviously international with your Irish head on.
Yeah.
What does the future of with the development of the domestic game, shall we say, the Super League going to 14, etc., the Championship League One mergers, expansion. Yeah. What does the future of the international game, do you think? How's that going to look? Nobody seemed to mention that recently.
Yeah, it's a good question. I want to be careful in what I say and how I say it.
Yeah, understood.
I don't want to get myself into bother, but is it concerning? Is there a bigger picture? Yes, we have what we have we have strategies and things in place for the next 10 years. But in terms of, is there other factors supporting that? Yes and no.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is there's plenty of countries out there, including my own or our own, where we can develop players and give players opportunities to play at a professional level. I'd like a bit more clarity on what the next 10 years looks like at international. Again, ourselves and Wales have put these fixtures together. Is the financial support in that? I don't want to answer yes or no.
Yeah, understood.
That comes from within our own organisation and Wales Rugby League. But yeah, look, there's massive potential there, Jaffa. For the next 20 years.
Yeah.
I just think what the supporters need and want and what the players deserve more than anything is what does the next 10 years look like?
Yeah, a bit of a game plan,
so
a
they
strategy.
can look at it, vision, we can work towards it. We're gearing up now. What I will say is we as an organisation, Ireland Rugby League, is looking at 2030 ready for the next World Cup.
Yep.
We'll miss out on this one that's coming up next year, but we will be ready for 2030 on and off field. We've got things happening in terms of what we're pushing towards the amateur game, which will help, again, evolve and develop players. Our programming pathways is booming. But yeah, I would like a clear picture in terms of what the next 10 years look like. 2 years looks like.
Yeah.
With the World Cup comes around every 4 years, and that's why a lot of players get disillusioned, in between World Cups. There's a lot of peer pressure from the clubs, from the professional players. But if they had a clear indication or a clear direction of what it looks like from the top, and I don't mean us as an organisation, I mean from the top.
Yeah, the very top.
Then it make our roles and jobs a lot easier.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but again, there's a product there. There's a product there that, not just England can compete against Australia and New Zealand. We played New Zealand in the World Cup, and I'm immensely proud of the boys' efforts. We had incidents in that game where we lost 2 or 3 players with HIAs, but, one thing I pride out my boys on is that they compete,
yeah.
And they try to outcompete opposition, and they're very proud of, outcompeting and competing. But, there's a great product there. It's just collectively we all need to jump on it together and all drive the same vessel together rather than people branching off doing their own thing.
Yeah, and that's the same here at club level, back down to Fev here, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that togetherness of the team, especially this year, what we've seen as fans. And of course, unfortunately, lost last week's Bradford into another game against Bradford this weekend in playoff rugby. And it's that togetherness that gets the boys through, isn't it?
Yeah, and extremely so. But it's something that we tried to change culturally from within. When I came in March, and myself and Paul and the rest of the staff, when we made the addition changes, and Ian, something that we try to demand more from them as a group. Togetherness, shoulder to shoulder. The standards that were in place, that we were now changing and putting in place. The expectations of what they can expect from us as staff, as coaches, not just medically, but as coaches, and then what we expect from them. And I think, we've done a terrific job in terms of what we've had with the damage limitations, injuries, had a horrific season in injuries. Back in, we've been bit again by it. We're losing Ryan, huge loss for the team, huge loss for the club. And then obviously Benny's suspension there 2 weeks ago, or last week after the Sheffield game. So, but one thing, we're immensely proud of them. The performance they put in against Bradford at the weekend, just came up very short, for 72 minutes.
Yeah.
How they went about the business with a fractured team, so
Agree.
Proud of them. Yeah. But so frustrated at the same time.
Yeah,
because,
and I think that's replicated with the fans as well.
Yeah,
they were so proud of the efforts.
To compete for 72 minutes against a pretty much full-strength squad of Bradford, they'll have 1 or 2 coming back this week, but, how they went about themselves, led by skipper Danny Addy, and, some of the performance, individual but collective performance, and just to be picked to the last 8 minutes, it was soul destroying. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I can see that.
The boys deserved what they worked so hard for. But that's the nature of the beast. That's the game we're in.
Rugby league, isn't it?
You win and lose, but I'm a big believer in how you lose is a true reflection of the team and the man. You've got to stay grounded, stay humble. Sometimes you can learn more from losing than you can from winning. Sometimes you can sugarcoat things that you miss when winning.
Yeah. So
sometimes it's good to lose your game and two, and you can reflect on things that sometimes you miss, not just as players but as staff. But I think what we've got a strong backbone. We've got a bit of steel in us.
Yeah.
James Glover came off the bench the other day, 18th man, 85% fit, and just absolutely tore it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He fed the boys energy that we were lacking, and and everyone picked up on it. And one thing I will say, we've got a great group here, the playing group. That the staff. There's no I, it's us and we, and I think they're key traits. Very similar to how we run the program with Ireland.
Yeah.
It's not about me as an head coach. It's us. It's my staff. I can't do anything without my staff.
Yeah. Nothing
happens here without our staff here. Kitman, Kieran, medical, Dave, Merrick, Jacob, Charlie, the up top Paddy, Martin, myself cooking, Ian can't do what we do without everyone doing their shared role. And again, most importantly, the support from the supporters. Again, I've been on both ends of it this year. When I first came in March, where it was frustration and disappointment. to the highs of accolades of, you know, going to Wembley and, you know, again losing out there, but, you know, going from second from bottom to fifth and sixth in a season is a huge turnaround. So
definitely.
Yeah, it's great.
And not to put you on the spot, obviously, but the Irish setup and obviously the Featherstone Rovers setup, is there more collaborations sort of in the future? Some players maybe coming across, and again, I don't want to put you on the spot a bit there, but
yeah, no, not at all, mate. You know, I'd love to develop. You know, I want to develop players here, and if we can get some of these projects, and we have some excellent talent coming through. You know, from our 19s to our A's. Our A's are playing in Wales this weekend coming up down in Swansea, and then they go to Netherlands for a Test Cup game, which is great. But yeah, mate, some exceptional talent. I'm hoping myself and Paul can bring them to the club in pre-season and try and unveil some serious talent.
Yeah, and potentially they could earn a contract.
Yeah, you know, and rightly so. I believe they will. You know, I think they can. I think they've got all the attributes and traits to do it, but they're just hungry. But it's challenging that hunger to make sure it's in the right departments so they get the success that they deserve. But I think the big thing for the club, and as I said, I'm very thankful for Paddy and Martin supporting me on this, is giving the supporters the opportunity to watch international rugby.
Yep.
You know, some people, you know, will go a long time without watching a Test game, and I think bringing the calibre of game to Featherstone into the working man's town and a prestigious club of Featherstone. You know, the last time they played here, I think it was Jamaica and Scotland.
Yep.
I think it was over last time I looked when I watched it back and got the crowd. It was 2,000 plus.
Yeah, there were. Yep. Yeah, I was here that day, and that's the obviously the reason, or one of the reasons I want to touch on now. The big double header that you've got coming up, Ireland against Wales, a game down in Wales, and then your fixture here at the Millennium Stadium, playing out just behind us. It would be great to lead your country out here at Featherstone, where you're working at the moment. Yeah,
it'd be very special. You know, leading your country out at any game or any venue is very special. But to do it at your own club, with the close relationships I've got at the club with the staff and Paddy the owner and Martin, and it'll be really special. You know, to have my family watching, both here and at home in Ireland. It's going to be huge. And we've got our A team playing down the road actually on the same day.
Okay. So
with it being an early kick-off at 2:00, we couldn't get the double header on the same venue because there's a fireworks display afterwards. They're playing down the road here, I believe. So I'll be bobbing down there watching that, and then coming back up here with the players and ready for our game.
Saturday the 25th of October down in Wales, and then
they're down in Wales this weekend. We play in Wales on the 25th.
Yep.
So the senior men's,
25th of October,
that's
and then
right.
back up here.
3:00 kick-off, and then we come back up here on the 1st of November.
1st of November, down here at the Millennium Stadium. Right. Tickets are going to be available very soon.
Yep.
And it'd be great for our fans to get down
there. Get amongst it, get around it, get a feeling for International Rugby League and support the boys in green, and let's turn this blue stadium into green heaven. So
we've had a touch of green at the end of the season with a kit, haven't we? So there we go.
Bit of like and a bit of dislike, and I think people understand why now. But yeah, again, look, thanks to the club and for supporting it. And yes, we've had a few earmarks about why we're playing in Featherstone, why we're not playing in Ireland, and we tried a damned hardest to play in Ireland, but it's I think it's also healthy to do a bit of a road show. Everyone, if we're playing in Vegas, nobody have a problem with us playing in Vegas. You know what I mean? But
certainly wouldn't.
I think giving the people of Featherstone and this neck of the woods of a great bloodline of rugby league is giving them an opportunity to watch some great talent of Super League and Championship and Championship 1 standard players and the homegrown players, I'll stress. It'll be great for the club and great for the town. Yeah.
So Ireland against Wales, the 1st of November, down here, international rugby, back at the Millennium Stadium, thanks to Jed and the Irish contingent for bringing that down for our locals. And obviously we want this place packed out to support the Irish. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, there'll be a few scenery changes. We're going to get some flags. They'll get the tricolours up there, 4 provinces flag up on the mast and that, which would be good, and the Welsh flag. So that'll be special. But yeah, please get down. Please support the boys and enjoy your rugby.
Jed, thanks very much for joining us, and good luck at the weekend with the boys, of course, and even more good luck when you bring Ireland down here. I hope you bring the Irish luck to Rovers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tuffer. Thanks for having me. Thanks very much, mate.